Welcome everyone to the 2015 Pure Michigan 400 at Michigan Race Review, where I recap what went down before the race, during the race, and after the race, and looking ahead to the next week. But before I begin to talk about my thoughts on the race and then the previous notes, I want to just have a little bit of talk and maybe a moment of silence for, for one of I'm sure that if you are or were a NASCAR fan and watched it maybe 20 years ago, I'm sure this name definitely rings a bell. Buddy Baker passed away on August 10th, and Buddy Baker born on January 25th, 1941, and is the son of Hall of Famer Buck Baker. And during his 33 years as a NASCAR driver, he went on to win 23 races, and this is not Cup races. This is combined Cup and what would eventually be the Xfinity Series. 19 wins in Cup, 4 wins in the Xfinity Series, 318 top tens, and 40 poles. And Buddy Baker, they said that he was known for winning some of NASCAR's most prestigious events, such as the 1980 Daytona 500, the fastest Daytona 500 to date, and the record still stands to this day, I believe. The Southern 500, the Winston 500 at Talladega, or in other words, the Talladega Fall Race. And the thing is, he was, I'm trying to remember, I think it was 6'5" or 6'6" feet tall, but I think I do to his kind personality, they called him the gentle giant. And after he also he was the first driver to go 200 miles per hour, and there was a Talladega in I think 1970, and for years I think 200 miles per hour was thought of as pretty impossible. But Buddy Baker definitely proved those people wrong, and also after and I think that because of his flat out driving style, they called him, I think it's Leadfoot. And also after he stopped racing, he became a commentator for I believe back when NASCAR races were on. I think it was CBS and TBS. I might be wrong on that. But the thing is, he was a commentator from 1991 from 2000. And the thing is, I have watched some NASCAR races on YouTube during that time period, and I gotta say, his style of commentating and the way he commentates, to me, it's like Buddy Baker sort of just like invites you in. He invites you in. I think that he definitely had a voice that stuck out in my mind, and I think that overall he definitely captured, I would say, my attention, and I'm sure many people's attention live. And I think that and I think that there were times, such as, for example, the first race Dale Earnhardt Jr. won. I think that you could actually hear sort of the the emotion, and the excitement in his voice. And to me, I think that you could feel that if you were to watch that race in the closing final few laps. And overall, I think that even though I was not a NASCAR fan during the time when he was a commentator, I enjoyed listening to him. I think that he's definitely going to be one that's going to be missed. Why do I think he passed away? Well, Buddy Baker resigned from his job, which after being a broadcaster, eventually he would do a couple other things. But the thing is, he got himself onto Cyrus Satellite Radio and was part of a show from 2001 to 2015. He resigned in July 7th this year due to, I think it was lung cancer, and I guess it was that cancer that eventually took away his life. And once again, cancer claims another victim, and it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating every time I hear that someone's life was taken away due to cancer. But but I believe on my screen, I actually, you're not gonna see it. But the thing is, I think I copied and pasted the quote that he said during this news before his death. Don't shed a tear. Give me a smile when you say my name. I'm not saying goodbye. Just talk to you later. And I gotta say, I will definitely smile, and I will definitely remember the great things about Buddy Baker. I think that I will probably maybe try to learn more about him, because I think that he definitely is someone that I think you should look at. But I think he will be a future Hall of Famer, and as the years go on, I think he's definitely going to get um, a, a lot of, and maybe even a lot more recognition for what he has done for the sport. And overall, we'll miss you, buddy. Okay, so now my thoughts on the race. Overall, this was not a good race, in my opinion. And I think that I kind of knew that heading into it, but I think that overall, really ever since I started watching NASCAR races at Michigan, Michigan is, in my opinion, one of my least favorite racetracks. Um, to me, in my opinion, it's one of, of those racetracks that I was in charge of the world, I would take away one of its dates. I know some people probably aren't very thrilled that I said that, but just my opinion. But overall, this race was possibly even worse than the previous races, and possibly even worse than the race back in June, which that race I also felt like was pretty awful as well. But to me, I think what made this race possibly even worse was how, because of the high drag package, which if you remember, right around Kentucky, it was announced that there would be even more new midseason rules package changes for a couple of events, of events for the chase. And Indianapolis and Michigan, for their races, got this high drag package, which was there were two packages. There was the low downforce package, which I felt like which I think is more, which I think was the package that was kind of founded or asked upon the drivers. And to me, I think this high drag package was more of, I guess you could say, the NASCAR package, or the package that was made by NASCAR, not exactly the drivers. And so to me, overall, like the racing at Indianapolis, I kind of knew that the racing was going to be like the racing we saw at Indianapolis, which under that package actually produced fewer lead changes. We'll find out. Actually, not fewer lead changes, but it was actually one more lead change. But things I think that was due to a couple of late race restarts. But in that race there were fewer passes. This time in this race there were I have yet to see an article yet, but I have seen reports of fewer lead changes and fewer passing, which to me is not good at all. And overall, like, while I do applaud NASCAR for at least trying to make the racing better, because, and I said this back at Indianapolis, that to me, you don't make you're not going to have better racing by just sitting around doing nothing. You have to at least try. You have to at least try to make racing better. And the thing is, along the way, you might make mistakes or results that you didn't expect it or wanted, but eventually you learn from those mistakes, and then you and they try to do it again, and maybe the next time, with your extended knowledge, it'll actually start making the results you wanted. But overall, if NASCAR made packages that produce fewer lead changes, less passing than the past few races, I think that it definitely, to me, it kind of, you in my opinion, you kind of question sort of NASCAR's knowledge on what they think is going to work, and what they think is good racing, or what's going to make good racing. When the hijack package was announced, I had a feeling that it wasn't going to work anyway, regardless of whether you used it at Indianapolis or Michigan. I just think that just because the fact that about really how it was kind of the opposite of what the drivers think and what the drivers wanted. And obviously, we saw at Kentucky, which that race under its low downforce package produced a record amount of lead changes and twice the amount of passing as the season ago. I think the low downforce package. I think it definitely is the way to go. I think that it definitely is the future. And the thing is, I said in last week's Watkins Glen race review about how I found out on motorsport.com that NASCAR could likely use the, I guess you could call it the Kentucky package at most of the tracks in 2016, with the exception of Daytona and Talladega, which already use a different rules package. And to me, if the hijack package enhances the racing, which to me enhance means better racing, more passes, more lead changes, then NASCAR will use the hijack package at Pocono and Auto Club. And so to me, like I said, I do not have the official like stats on the amount of passing and lead changes and its comparison from last season or the June race. But to me, I think that it did not like this hijack package. It did not enhance the racing at all. And I think it made it even worse. And so to me, I hope that according to that Motorsport article, NASCAR does not use this package at all. I think it's time. I think it's time to just kind of scrap it completely, and just forget, like, and never ever happened. And I think at NASCAR will, not only because of the results, but also of the drivers' frustrations, and they addressed it. Like for example, there was a lot of I think that there were a lot of upset drivers at Indianapolis, and this time at Michigan, there was less of it. But to me, there were also some drivers like Kevin Harvick, for example, who actually. I did not watch this interview or did not read it completely. But the thing is, I think Harvick was actually he was actually asked about what do you think of this hijack package, and Kevin Harvick actually did not answer that, which to me I think possibly says that he did not want to address his frustrations. Brad Keselowski, I believe, tweeted or said something like, regardless of what package it is, it is his job, and he'll race anything that NASCAR wants. But to me, I think that along with the fact about how, especially at Indianapolis, we had heating issues, we had dehydration, we had exhaustion, and in fact, during the Michigan race, they did the same thing at Indianapolis. But I think that during the race, I saw I think 152 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a lot more hotter, or maybe even the hottest the inside of the race cars have ever gotten before. I don't know if this is true or not. Sorry, I'm just checking something. But to me, I think that's also another reason to scrap this package. And so, so that's what I think of that. But anyway, now let's get into the pre-race notes. So one of the first things I wrote down was the I don't think it was ever said. I don't think that it was ever said during the race or the pre-race. The thing is, safety improvements were made, and this was announced on Monday. And so what they did was that they added 150 feet of extra walls towards turn number 4. Along the pit wall, and to me, I think that this was in response to I think what happened at Pocono, and also there was I guess this thing that's called attenuators or something like that. I don't know if you type in this in ATTENUATORS. You can type this in. I think they actually use this on highways, but it's not a very common NASCAR word, I guess you could say. And that was added at the very end of the pit wall towards turn number 4. And also they said that in 2016 they're going to add safer barriers to the outside wall on both the front stretch and the back stretch. So to me, it's great to see these safety improvements, and obviously, um, while I don't think there's a way to make these cars and drivers and fans completely safe, we have definitely come a long way, and I think as time goes on, we're going to make even more bigger safety improvements. So overall, it's great to hear that. Um, and also, I mentioned the heat issues of the high drag package. Well, NASCAR, um, um, in order to try to reduce the heat issues, NASCAR actually opened. They basically told the teams to add extra openings on both sides of the windows to allow some extra air to get into the car. While I did not hear a single driver's like thoughts on the heat, I think that was once again also another smart move. And now I'm going to get into a little bit more of a silly season stuff and also some changes. Matt DiBenedetto gets a new crew chief who was atop of the pit box of the 98 team before Pocono, Gene Ned. And Matt DiBenedetto overall, he's actually, to me, in a way, actually been kind of impressive. He after missing his first two Sprint Cup Series attempts ever. I think it was Atlanta and Las Vegas. He's actually been able to qualify for every single race since then, and I think that on a couple of occasions he's actually shown speed and some promise of even getting, I think, a couple of finishes around 20 for at the top 20 a couple times, and maybe, who knows, this crew chief change could make him just a little bit more better. Also some of the big news, and this was some news that I first found on Twitter through some of the NASCAR writers like Bob Pockrass. I think it's how you pronounce it. Team owner Roger Penske said on Thursday that he's working on a deal to get Ryan Blaney a full-time ride in 2016 next season. And to me, here's the interesting part. And if it happens, it'll most likely be a mix of him driving for the Wood Brothers and driving for Penske as Penske's third driver. This is an interesting one, because I don't actually think I really ever heard or remember in the history of NASCAR, and especially recent history, of a driver who was entered to drive a full season in NASCAR, but especially in the Sprint Cup Series, and the driver drives for two different teams while also trying to win races and win a championship. If that does happen, it will kind of be interesting, though. And I think that in a way, it could also, I think it'll also give us a chance to see maybe what's better, Ryan Blaney and the Wood Brothers, or Ryan Blaney with Roger Penske. The Wood Brothers does actually work in the Penske shop and does use Penske equipment, which I think that along with Ryan Blaney, who has, to me, shown promise of a top 20s, and I think even a couple of top 10s here and there. And Ryan Blaney really isn't. And Ryan Blaney is one of, if not my favorite, like up and coming driver that I think Ryan Blaney, and I think he actually does have potential to actually be a star, in the Xfinity Truck Series. It seems like every single time you put him in a vehicle with good equipment, I think that Ryan Blaney is definitely, he may not always be a contender for the win, but to me, I think Ryan Blaney, I think that's almost certain that Ryan Blaney will get you a good finish. And while the Cup Series is a totally different series and is definitely a harder series to win or just overall finish good. I think that Ryan Blaney he could do it. It's the next season. It'll just be interesting. Also, more silly season information. In an interview with, I think it was Cyrus XM Radio, Jack Roush said that current Xfinity Series points leader and three-time winner in that series, Chris Buescher, he thinks that Chris Buescher is ready for the Cup Series full time. And there have been some reports saying that if Chris Buescher is going to go to the Cup Series, say next year, Roush would bring back the 99 car, and so in that case, Roush Family Racing, it would have a total of 4 teams. And to me, I kind of feel like that. Like, I have like very mixed opinions on this. I think that Chris Buescher, I think that he's definitely a talented driver, and I do root for him every now and then. But to me, the thing is that, and maybe I'm saying this just because the current state of Roush Family Racing, especially on the Sprint Cup Series, it's not that healthy. But to me, I cannot see Chris Buescher being a success. I just can't. And in fact, I would say that in a way, the only reason why I think the only reason why I think Chris Buescher is actually the points leader is because his closest competitors in that series, Chase Elliott and Ty Dillon, they've actually struggled. While Chris Buescher has kind of been pretty consistent. But to me, I cannot see Chris Buescher really being that success, and I just cannot see Chris Buescher being that driver that might be able to revive Roush Family Racing. I kind of feel like overall Roush Family Racing. I think they're definitely not like a team. I think the Roush Family Racing can. I think that's capable of returning to the team that won championships in 2003 and 2004 with Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch. But to me, that's also the thing as well. Not as great equipment, but also sort of just not great drivers. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Trevor Bayne, 2 drivers that I'm sure many people thought would be successes, but just does not happen. And to me, sometimes I often think that they are like 20th or 30th place cars. Greg Biffle, to me, a driver that I think has kind of past his prime, in my opinion. He's not. Greg Biffle is still the best Roush Family driver, but to me, he's just not as good as he once was. And to me, I don't think Chris Buescher is going to be any different. Anyway, other silly season news. Richard Petty Motorsports could possibly have a different driver behind that 9 car, which currently it is driven by Sam Horse Jr. After 2016, I believe rumors have been saying that some of the likely candidates could be David Reagan, if Michael Waltrip Racing can't be a team after the season, or Regan Smith, which to me, personally, to me, I think that even though I don't really like David Reagan, and to me, while I cannot see David Reagan winning, I think David Reagan it is better with Michael Waltrip Racing than Richard Petty Motorsports. So to me, I don't think that if you move David Reagan to that team, I don't think David Reagan is really going to give you good results. And overall, Regan Smith, I don't if Regan Smith is going to go back to the Cup Series, I would like to see Regan Smith be on a team that can at least be competitive for wins. I think that Richard Petty Motorsports, but overall, any team that I guess you could say has Petty in the name, whether it's Petty Enterprises or Richard Petty Motorsports, that team, as far as I know, hasn't exactly been the same team since since Richard Petty's heydays, or maybe it just hasn't been the same team since Kyle Petty, since Kyle Petty's heydays. Fine, I'll leave it like that. So yeah, so overall, like that team just hasn't. They have one every now and then. With drivers like Marcus Ambrose winning on the road courses, or for example, Eric Almirola winning last season in the rain-shortened July Daytona race. But to me, Richard Petty Motorsports it's just, I don't really think I've really ever seen that team be a team that that has drivers and equipment that it can be up front. And to me, that's why I'm not like really a supporter for Reagan or Regan Smith going to the Cup Series. But that's just my opinion. Oh yeah, and also there have been some reports that have been saying that the Richard Petty Motorsports could go to either a Chevy or Toyota, because to me, their manufacturer for next season has not actually been confirmed yet. And overall, I think that if Richard Petty Motorsports does change manufacturers, while it could actually help them improve, I think that once again it's another huge loss to Ford. And honestly, I would not even be surprised if maybe in 5 or 10 years from now Ford is not with us anymore. I think it is possible, because to me, other than Roger Penske, I don't really think like Ford really has like almost any other like competitive teams that can contend for wins or multiple wins or even championships at this point. I think that Ford could. I could see Ford going the way like Dodge. Um, but anyway, so for the most part, I think that's all of the silly season news. Yes. Anyway, now let's get on to the weekend. So on Friday, all the action went down on Friday. Carl Edwards led the opening practice, and behind him, Kevin Harvick, Austin Dillon, Tony Stewart, Danny Hamlin, Casey Kane, Kyle Busch, Jared Reagan, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Matt Kenseth. And actually, for I think most or all of the practice, Matt Crafton was behind the wheel of the 43 car. And if you don't know Matt Crafton, he has won the last 2 championships in the Camping World Truck Series. And has been part of that series for a long time. I think over 10 years. But anyway, Eric Almirola, he was sick, but eventually later that day, Eric Almirola will be able to qualify. So I guess it wasn't a serious disease. But speaking of qualifying, Matt Kenseth gets his 3rd career pole of 2015 and his first ever pole in Michigan. And he was followed by Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, Austin Dillon, Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Logano, Kane, and Boyers. And so obviously the top 3, all Joe Gibbs racing, all Joe Gibbs racing. And actually, I think they said that it was the first time ever that Joe Gibbs ever had a 1, 2, 3, ever started 1, 2, 3. It was actually 1, 2, 3, 4 in the first round of practice, but in the second round, Kyle Busch kind of messed up a little bit, and so, but I think Kyle Busch didn't. I think Kyle Busch didn't mess up. I think that it could have been a 1, 2, 3, 4, but overall, once again, we are seeing Joe Gibbs Racing still be definitely a very they're still possibly the hottest team right now. and also in this qualifying due to the already reduction in horsepower, but also with the high drag package, reducing the speeds a little bit more. There are, I think that there are actually some or many drivers that are actually going around this racetrack wide open, and overall, and I think this is why many people are criticizing um, this racing as being terrible, because to me it seems like, yeah, NASCAR, with the exception of Daytona and Talladega, wide open racing does not work at all in the Sprint Cup series. I think it works fine in the Truck series, but not in the Cup series. Um, and overall, I hope that next season they either make huge changes to the downforce, or NASCAR gives them their horsepower back by maybe removing the tapered spacer, which was announced to the 2015 rules package last fall. And speaking of the 2015 rules package, after qualifying, NASCAR held a huge press release regarding the future of the rules package for the remainder of 2015, along with a couple other things. And obviously, Steve O'Donnell, who is the executive vice president, said there will be no new changes to the chase, which was a huge shock, which I felt like was a huge shock after the successful Kentucky race. But it's overall, I know a lot of people aren't probably very happy with that change, but to me, even though on TV I can't notice that much of a difference, but to me, it was said, I think, back at May, the lead changes are down at most of the racetracks. The racetracks that have used the 2015 rules package, and to me, even though this package, even though the 2015 rules package does not produce the best racing, I still feel like that it was the right thing to do, because I feel like that drivers like Kevin Harvick, drivers like Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, etc. These are drivers that have been racing to get into the chase, and have been working very hard and preparing with this rules package, and I feel like that even if you change a rules package that does give you better racing, it's basically a huge curveball to these drivers and teams, and to me, imagine this. Even if in the chase they use the rules package that's like Kentucky, while the race team might be really good, it could potentially screw with Harvick. It could screw with Kenseth, and it could possibly make drivers like Ryan Newman or Paul Menard or Jamie McMurray, who haven't been the best with the 2015 rules package, and all of a sudden you change the rules package, and they're all of a sudden a lot more better. And to me, I feel like that's not. I just think that it's not good for the sport. And so, even though, like I said, this 2015 rules package does not produce the best racing, I still feel like it was the right thing to do. And to me, if you're someone that's not very excited about this, there have been reports about using a low downforce package. So to me, I think after racing in 2016 should be a lot more better if they do use that lower downforce package in 2016. So to me, I don't think we're going to use the 2015 rules package after this season anyway. And I'm sure that NASCAR is going to talk more with the drivers and teams, and have more drivers councils about where to go in the future. So yeah. But other than the rules package for the chase, there was actually NASCAR. NASCAR also talked about maybe a new rules package for Talladega, which I said earlier. Daytona and Talladega, they use a new rules package anyway. And to me, I think at this new rules package, this was more influenced by Austin Dillon's scary crash back at Daytona in July, where Austin Dillon got airborne, flipped, went into the catch fence, injured a couple fans, tore up the grandstand. Austin Dillon was all right, and to me, I think that like maybe what NASCAR is looking for is to maybe build a car that may be somehow safer. But to me, like here's my thought on this. What I hope if NASCAR does make changes, which NASCAR hasn't said what they're going to do. I hope that I hope that whatever NASCAR does, it doesn't like it doesn't like it doesn't like take away the racing from Talladega, and sort of, in my opinion, ruins it. I don't think we can afford that. And, and because to me, for example, if you like, because to me, for example, if you take away the pack, for, if you take away like the pack racing, you know, then to me Talladega becomes just like Michigan, you know, and to me that's not what the fans really want to see, and it's definitely not what I want to see. However, to me, if NASCAR is going to make a rules package for Talladega, what I suggest is a rules package that allows for more passing. Like for example, I think like NASCAR should really look at the races like the 2000 Winston 500, and the 2001 Daytona 500, because to me, NASCAR at that time actually had actually used a new aero package that actually allowed for more lead changes, more passing than ever before. And to me, the thing about that racing as well is that we did not have drivers so reliant on pushing each other and reliant in a draft. And to me, I feel like that if anything did cause the last lap crash at Daytona that caused Austin Dillon to go through that wild ride, it was because it was because of a rules package that relied on so much drafting and pushing. And if you go back to the if you go back and watch the 2001 Daytona 500, you will see that there wasn't really a whole lot of like pushing, and reliance on drafting. But to me, it was still fairly big packs of racing, close racing, and also at the same time more exciting, in my opinion. So to me, I think that if NASCAR can make the rules package more like that, I think it'll be a lot more better. But I hope that NASCAR doesn't make a rules package change for Talladega that completely like ruins it. That's just my opinion. And speaking of restrictive light racing, there wasn't a whole lot of talk about this, but to me there was some possible talk about how maybe restrictor plates are possibly being looked at for all club in Michigan, which to me, I think overall, in my opinion, this would be some interesting changes. But to me, I feel like that like restrictor plates, I don't think are the way to go for these types of racetracks. I'll say it again. I think that we need to get rid of the downforce, or take away a lot more downforce, and along with side force. Apparently, there isn't really a whole lot to talk about this in the NASCAR world. But to me, on Reddit, I found out that actually taking away side force is also a big step in the right direction as well. So to me, now that I think about it, we should really focus on taking away more downforce and side force and making these cars less aero dependent. And I actually think that it will actually create more closer racing at Ogden, Michigan, which is nice in my opinion, and I think it'd be great racing. But anyway, that's all the news for Friday. Now moving on to Saturday. This has already gone on for too long already. Kevin Harvick, who led the most laps in June until he had a tire failure, he was the fastest in the second practice, Following him, Kenseth, Larson, Kyle Busch, Johnson, Newman, Hamlin, Austin Dillon, Tony Stewart, and Carl Edwards. And late in the practice session, I don't know if it was NASCAR or the teams, but there were some drivers and teams. I did decide to race closer together in sort of like packs to sort of learn more about the high downforce package, and already on both Friday and Saturday, what the drivers were saying were pretty much the exact same things that they were saying during the Breakout 400 weekend. Hard to pass, hard to pass, and overall, the drafting and the slingshot moves NASCAR was hoping for when they first thought about this package. That wasn't happening in the practice sessions, and to me, I don't really think it happened in the race, even with 43 cars on that racetrack. I just don't think it happened. So in the final added of the new package, Barn Trucks Jr. was the fastest in that practice. Him, Logano, Edwards, Larson, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, but that was the rest of the top 10. And then late, no, actually it wasn't late. It was actually I think it was midway through the final practice. Turn number 4 got loose and spun into the grass, and the grass actually tore up his splitter, and Kyle was her. And what's kind of interesting was that just before they took the green flag, Kyle Busch actually chose to stay away from, which is allowed, because I guess was one of those drivers who didn't race in the pack. So to me, Kyle Busch wanted to avoid the lap 1 or lap 2 calamity. But other than Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon's team also they had to make an engine change, I guess, in the practice, so they also went to the rear of the field. And then moving on to Sunday, both Penske cars had to go through pre-race inspection more than one time, and NASCAR, I think, was confiscated, which I believe confiscated. I think it means to take away under authority. They confiscated the splitters because I guess the splitters were not, I guess, they weren't, and I believe is that you can definitely, I think, like wear out or smoothen the split. But I guess that whatever they did, NASCAR did not improve it, and to me, I think that it's likely on Tuesday we could see some fines or penalties. But both Penske drivers, Logano and Keselowski, were able to start where they qualified on Friday, and also the final pre-race note that I have, as they rolled off and went onto the racetrack, Timmy Hill in the night driving in the 98 was leaking oil, and so the thing is, it added a couple of extra pace. It actually added a couple of extra pace laps, and then Timmy Hill I'll explain later. But anyway, coming out turn number 4, Matt Kenseth on the outside, Denny Hamlin on the inside. We are green at Michigan, and already entering turns 1 and 2. David Reagan got loose. Either Reagan got loose or Reagan got his left side onto the apron. His car went around. His car went around sideways in the middle of turns 1 and 2. No one hit him, and he didn't hit anything. And to me, I don't think this was a product of the new rules of the new rules package. I think it was just simply because I think that it was just simply a mistake that David Reagan made. Um, um, and overall, to me, it was kind of, it wasn't the start of the race that I was actually expecting. And honestly, I think Reagan, I think that he started maybe around like 10th place or so. And so to me, when I first saw it on TV, I thought it was actually going to result in a multi-car incident. And I thought that, and thinking about it, I think that if we did have a multi-car incident, it actually could have, I think it actually could have had a pretty big impact on on the chase grid, but that would eventually happen. It'll actually happen later on. But anyway, restart on lap number 6. Kenseth and Johnson 1-2. A couple laps later on lap number 8, Timmy Hill returns to the racetrack. Then a couple laps later, he returns to the garage, and I think he finished dead last. But before Timmy Hill went to the garage, caution number 2 for debris on the backstretch, and I believe what it was is that it was an oil drain pan. What that exactly is, but it did come out. But it did come out from under the 98 car. It's so to me, because that was, I guess you could say, an unusual piece in Timmy Hill. He was all by himself as a slower car. I wonder if that's possibly going to result in maybe any fines or penalties. It will just be interesting to hear the official news on Tuesday, or you know. But anyway, restart on lap number 14. Joe Logano pushes Matt Kenseth out to the lead, and pretty much overall, I think because of the high drag package, the restarts were really were really important for pretty much everyone, because to me, a couple laps after the restart, got pretty spread out, and it was just very hard to pass. And so to me, pretty much every single was leader, he always just shot out ahead, and no one could really catch Matt Kenseth. And I think that's probably due to the rules package. And even though we have seen domination before in Michigan, for example, the 1999 Kmart 400. Obviously, in 1999, those cars in the rules package, it's a lot more different. But to me, Dale Jarrett, once he got the lead on lap number 54, he would go on to lead every single lap after that, and he went on to win the race. And actually, that was actually the fastest Michigan race ever. But the thing about that is that I think that back then, it wasn't about the rules package. I think it was more. I think it was just simply the fact that Dale Jarrett was good, really good in that race. But to me, I feel like the difference this time was that because of the rules package, making it hard to pass, making it hard to catch up to the driver in front of you, it gave it pretty much always gave whoever what was the leader the advantage by a lot. And so to me, I think that's why Kenseth would eventually be so dominant. Anyway, so anyway, caution number 2, restart lap 14. Matt Kenseth leads, and eventually it showed that Eric Almirola, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, they were the biggest movers. Anyway, caution number 3, another competition caution, and then we had pit stops. Top 10 lead in the pits: Kenseth, Logano, Keselowski, Hamlin Jr., Carl Edwards, Clint Boyer, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, and Mark Truex Jr. Some took 2 tires, some took just fuel only. And once again, another competition caution. What's kind of annoying me about these competition cautions is because it's not that we're seeing them. It's not that I feel like we're seeing them almost every single race. It's the fact that there's kind of a little to almost no explanation on why there is a competition caution in the first place. And to me, as a viewer, I would like to know exactly why. Was it because of rain? Was it because of oil? You know, uh, I wish that NASCAR or the people or the people behind NBC would in my opinion, I wish that they would do a better job at explaining that. But anyway, and while these pit stops are happening, Austin Dillon, who due to the engine change in practice, started in the rear of the field and really wasn't making up any spots. He decided to play a little strategy. He stayed out, and so now Austin Dillon leads, and this restart came out a lot number 25, and to me, I think what helped Austin Dillon. I think what helped Austin Dillon stay as the leader was how coming to lap number 26, Logano actually got loose and actually slid up right in front of Matt Kenseth, which then would check up everyone. They did not wreck. They were all able to save it, but to me, this helped Austin Dillon get out to a huge lead, and eventually he'd be able to hold on to that lead up until. Up until lap number 41, and actually just before Austin Dillon pitted, it was actually I was watching I was also watching or reading lap by lap coverage, and actually before Austin Dillon pitted, he actually had led more laps in this race than he had every other race this season combined. But anyway, so Austin Dillon pits. It's now like as Matt Kenseth lead, and it was a 7-second lead over Dale Earnhardt Jr. And then they showed some grill on the 24 Jeff Gordon. Austin Dillon was eventually trying to get his lap back later on. And eventually running into the top 10, Jimmy Johnson comes down pit road due to a flat tire. And eventually later on we would start seeing some more green flag pit stops. Lap number 55, Casey Mears comes down pit road with the hood up, and so it looks like, and so to me what it looked like was that it was just simply overheating issues, which also I think that could have been because of the new rules package. It made the cars a lot more harder. So to me, while I don't believe there was a whole lot of mechanical failures, the mechanical failures on Casey Mears might have been the reason why. But anyway, lap number 57. Green flag pit stops officially begin. Kenseth pits, Kyle Larson leads a lap, then Jeff Gordon leads a lap, Kyle Busch leads a lap, and then Austin Dillon gets the lead back on lap number 63. And 1 lap later, Matt Kenseth catches up to Austin Dillon. So Matt Kenseth he leads, and then 1 lap later, Matt Kenseth he was just pulling ahead, a 1 second advantage a lap after Kenseth got the lead back from Austin Dillon, and then eventually some drivers had some pretty slow pit stops, such as, for example, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Entering the pits, he was about 7 seconds behind Matt Kenseth in second, and then after the pit stops, he was about 11 seconds behind Matt Kenseth, running in third place. Lap number 67. This happened during a commercial break. So the thing is, I don't think they talked about it. The thing is, Ryan Blaney, who was running, I think, inside the top 20, and I think could have finished inside the top 15, maybe even the top 10. He had to come down pit road due to a loose wheel, and the same thing happened to him at New Hampshire, and I felt like that also cost him a finish. A good top 15, maybe top 10 finish at that track as well. Anyway, lap number 72. Caution number 4 for debris in turn number 2. And just before this caution came out, there were 18 cars on the lead lap, and then there were some pit stops. Some decided to pit, some decided to stay out. The ones that stayed out: Kenseth, Boyer, Truex Jr., Kurt Busch, Logano, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Jeff Gordon. And then here we go. Restart, lap number 76. Matt Kenseth and Clint Bowyer side by side. Clint Bowyer tries to hang with Matt Kenseth, entering turns 1 and 2, but the thing is, he can't do it. Kenseth just has the momentum on the high side, and Kenseth once again clears Boyer, leads, pulls away, and then all of a sudden, for the first time today, we saw Kevin Harvick. We saw Kevin Harvick start charging his play up to the front, which I kind of feel like is becoming the new thing for Kevin Harvick. Maybe Kevin Harvick's car isn't great at the start, but all of a sudden, after a while, him and his team make adjustments, and all of a sudden, his car is on fire. Figuratively, not literally. But anyway, so by lap number 88, Kevin Harvick was in fifth. Mark Jr. had gotten himself into second. Boyer fell back to fifth. Kyle Busch was all of a sudden in the top five as well. Anyway, by around lap number 100, more green flag pit stops were happening. Kenseth leads, and then Kevin Harvick leads a halfway. And eventually we actually saw many drivers like Harvick, Edwards, Austin Dillon, Keselowski, and Larson, and a few others. I think that these were drivers that thought at the time that the race today in Michigan was going to be a few miles race. So to me, I think that their plan was was to go as many laps as possible. But eventually this would be costly for drivers like Kevin Harvick and Mark Jr. who actually ran out of fuel just before coming down to the pits. So at the time, this really cost them. And then after the cycle of pit stops, Kenseth returned to the lead on lap number 117, as once again more problems for Jimmy Johnson. He missed his pit. Mark Jr. also had a slower than normal pit stop, but eventually many of these drivers that had trouble or ran out of gas would catch a lucky break. Lap number 121, caution number 5 for once again debris. 17 cars were on the lead lap, and then we had some more pit stops. Top 10 exiting the pits. Kenseth, Truex, Hamlin, Logano, Harvick, Larson, Kurt Busch, Clint Boyer, Paul Menard, and Ryan Newman. Most took 2 tires, and then 2 drivers stayed out: Carl Edwards and Austin Dillon. And then by this point, I actually thought that that Michigan could have been another few miles race. But anyway, restart up 126, and by this point in the race, the restarts were starting to get a lot more crazy, I guess you can say, and this one got a little too crazy when Clint Boyer, who was stuck in the middle and dropping spots, he was trying to find a place in line, so they went to the high side, but the thing is, he did not have Newman cleared. Goes across the front bumper of Newman, hits the outside wall in the backstretch. Then all of a sudden, he comes down on Newman once again. He spins around. Tony Stewart almost got caught in this, and then Clint Boyer backs it into the wall on the backstretch. And if you remember, Clint Boyer, he's 16th in points. He's 16th in points, and I actually think that before this crash, he was actually around like 13 points. I think that he was like 14 before this crash happened. And so the thing is, well, Clint Boyer, he's not out of the top 16 points. That was definitely not what they wanted. He now has, after this race, he now has a 23-point advantage over 17th Eric Almirola. So overall not a good break for Clint Boyer. David Reagan, he did suffer some damage in that crash as well, and Ryan Newman also decided to pit. Restart on lap 131. Carl Edwards passes Austin Dillon. and Austin Dillon losing the second, but then all of a sudden I think here comes and all of a sudden I think here comes Matt Kenseth trying to get himself back into the front, and actually I'm trying to think here. No, actually Matt Kenseth was actually able to get by both Edwards and Kenseth. Oh, wait a second. I need to look back at my notes. I think Matt Kenseth actually either took the lead or moved into second just before Boyer had his wreck, and then on the next restart, Kenseth would take the lead. But Carl Edwards and Austin Dillon, they were still right there, second and third place. And then we had our 7th caution of the race on lap 136. Tony Stewart gets loose by himself off turn number 4, spins, no one hits him, he doesn't hit anything. Ryan Blaney scrapes the wall trying to avoid Tony Stewart. And also this lucky dog this lucky dog was worth mentioning. Kasey Kahne, who in the past several weeks has had really poor finishes. He went from I think it was 13 points to falling outside the top 16. And Kasey Kahne, he had been fighting pretty hard with Jamie McMurray for the lucky dog spot. And Kahne finally got the lucky dog, so Kahne would get back on the lead lap. And so for Kasey Kahne, that was a lucky break, and I think that did help Kasey Kahne actually close in on Boyer just a little bit. So I feel like that is worth mentioning. And then 1 lap later, there were a couple takers on pit road, but most of the field stayed out. And then just before we were about ready to restart on lap 141, all of a sudden down the backstretch, and I guess in an attempt to save fuel, Carl Edwards all of a sudden he shuts off the engine, and then for a while the engine would not start, and so the car would not go off, and then what would happen is that Carl Edwards lost. I think Carl Edwards lost about 10 spots, I believe, but to me, Carl Edwards, he would have restarted in the second position, and I gotta say, I don't think Carl Edwards was going to win anyway. At this point in the race, I think Kenseth was just too strong, but to me, I think at Carl Edwards, his chances of winning, I think were more likely had this not happened to him, and so now who would restart next to Matt Kenseth? Austin Dillon restart up 142, and Kevin Harvick would actually push Austin Dillon to the lead, and then eventually off turn number 4, Kurt Busch, who was having a good day inside the top 10. And if you remember, he won the June race. He won the June race. He all of a sudden made an unscheduled pit stop, and I don't exactly know what was the issue. But then all of a sudden, it was also at this point in the race that I think we saw the best battle we had, and possibly the only good battle we had during the race, and it was between Matt Kenseth and Austin Dillon fighting for the lead. Austin Dillon, he couldn't hold off Matt Kenseth, so Matt Kenseth gets the lead on lap 143, and then all of a sudden, 1 lap later, Austin Dillon comes back, challenges Matt Kenseth. Austin Dillon leads on lap 144, but then all of a sudden, here comes Matt Kenseth, who was just stronger than Austin Dillon. So Matt Kenseth, he gets the way back. But to me, it was kind of interesting that during the race, which used a package that made it hard to pass, and yet during this moment in the race, we did actually have a moment where the lead did swap back and forth for a few laps. So to me, that was pretty interesting. Kevin Harvick, who initially pushed Austin Dillon to the lead, he was doing a good job hanging in the third spot, and then by laps 162, as more drivers, as we had our last cycle of green flag pit stops, or the scheduled green flag pit stops, Clint Bowyer exited the garage and came back onto the racetrack. And so Matt Kenseth comes down pit road on lap 165, and then Kyle Busch would lead for the next several laps. In the meantime, drivers like Austin Dillon struggled on pit road. He had a pretty slow pit stop, and I think I would cost him a chance to win his first career race. But to me, he would come back on the racetrack after the cycle pit stops around fifth and just not second. And there was actually some interesting strategy. I guess there were some drivers. I guess there were some drivers that thought it was going to go green the rest of the way, and so I think some drivers decided to take two tires, most notably Brad Keselowski. Kyle Busch pits on lap number 174, so that gives Eric Almirola the lead, and then once Eric Almirola pits 2 laps later, Matt Kenseth regains the lead on lap 176, and then Matt Kenseth had about a 4-second lead, but then eventually a couple laps later, Harvick actually started gaining on Matt Kenseth, and it was down to 3 seconds up until lap 184, the 8th and final caution of the day. Jimmy Johnson spins by himself off turn 4, pretty similar to Tony Stewart, but this time it was even worse because why? Johnson spun into the grass and it tore up the splitter on the right side of the car. And to me, that would cause Johnson to go several laps down and then finish in I think the 39th position. Michigan historically, I think with the exception of the one race he won back in June of last season, it's a track where he either has a bad race or just simply has some bad luck. But Jimmy Johnson in Michigan, it just does not flow together in the right way. But anyway, 1 lap later, there were a couple takers in pit road: Dale Earnhardt Jr., Logano, Casey Kane, Eric Almirola, and a few others. But for the most part, the leaders stay out. Restart up 188, and Matt Kenseth once again, just like he did on almost every single other restart, gets out ahead and he's gone. Nobody was gonna catch Matt Kenseth, and then we saw, and then right after the restart, we saw the importance of fresh tires as Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Logano were making their way up through the field. But by that point, it was too late. Kevin Harvick was close to Matt Kenseth, but to me, I think that because of the rules packaging and just the fact about Kenseth being too strong, Harvick just wasn't going to be able to catch Matt Kenseth on the final lap, and coming out turn 4 on the final lap, Matt Kenseth dominates in Michigan, leading 146 laps. He goes on to win his 3rd race in Michigan and his first Michigan win since August of 2006, so 9 years. And once again, Harvick finishes second. But overall, a nice recovery for Kevin Harvick, and I was kind of a little disappointed with how even though Kevin Harvick once again another strong run, but this time Harvick was able to recover, and yet NBC did not interview him, and also NBC did not interview Austin Dillon, who got a 4th place finish, his best career finish ever, and yet NBC did not interview him as well. That was once again to me another, like, you know, I kind of wish, I kind of wish like NBC would do a better job at interviewing more people. Not just like two people once the race is over. But anyway, but anyway, Harvick finished second, and thing is with Harvick finishing second, it broke a streak of Penske and Gibbs finishing 1-2 and that lasted from Kentucky to Watkins Glen. And so Harvick broke that streak. Martrix Jr. gets a third, and actually Martrix Jr. This season he will go down as finishing third in both Michigan races, and overall I felt like this could finish. I think that the finish definitely got Martrix and that team back on track to where I think many of us have expected them to finish. And like I just talked about, Austin Dillon finishes in the fourth position, which is his best career finish. His best career finish before that was a fifth place the Daytona July last year. And overall, I was actually very impressed and surprised that Austin Dillon not only finished that well, but was also able to run up front most of the day, and also was at one point on a different strategy, and also had to make an engine change and restart at the tail end of the field. And overall, while I think unless Austin Dillon wins, it's too late for Austin Dillon to make it into the chase on points. I think Austin Dillon, but I think that with Austin Dillon and this good finish, it could possibly carry on into the rest of the season, and maybe even next year and beyond. Because to me, when Austin Dillon started. When Austin Dillon started racing, I remember watching back in February in 2010 at Camp World Truck Series practice, and kind of and then all of a sudden down the backstretch, I saw a truck that had the car numbers and had car number 3, the exact same car number and font as Dale Earnhardt Sr. once again back on the racetrack, and it was driven by Austin Dillon. He would go on to win a truck championship in 2011, an Xfinity Series championship in 2013, which I honestly felt like he kind of got lucky, because I felt like that St. Lawrence Jr. should have won the championship that year, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, and then all of a sudden, from the moment that it was announced that Austin Dillon would start racing in this Pickup Series full time starting in 2014, and the fact that Austin Dillon is going to bring the 3 car back to victory lane. I had very mixed feelings about Austin Dillon when I first heard that news. Not exactly because of the 3 car, just because I feel like the Austin Dillon, I don't know. Like at the time, I thought that Austin Dillon really had not exactly like proved a whole lot. That said to me, oh yeah, Austin Dillon, he's definitely ready for the Cup Series. But to me, I think that definitely did show in 2014. Just overall, not that great of a season, and not really a whole lot of like spectacular moments. And then all of a sudden, the first several races in 2015, this season, I thought that it was actually going to be another struggling year. But then as time went on, I think it started with maybe like Charlotte or the first Pocono race back in May or June, and all of a sudden I started noticing more speed. I started noticing more speed at Austin Dillon, and Austin Dillon was starting to qualify pretty good. And I feel like this time, it finally resulted in a great finish. In such to me, while at first I didn't think of Austin Dillon as a driver that that could actually have a good career, in the Sprint Series. His recent improvements and this great finish, I think might change. It could change my mind very quickly if he can continue to do this. And it would not shock me at all if Austin Dillon next week at Bristol can get a good finish. And overall, I know many people talk about like drivers like Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, maybe even maybe even Ryan Blaney, Ty Dillon, Chris Buescher, Darrell Walsh Jr. and a couple other drivers as featured stars. And maybe not as much of Austin Dillon, but to me, at this point, don't count Austin Dillon out. That's my final note. Anyway, so overall, Joe Gibbs Racing continues to be the hottest team in NASCAR right now with Kenseth winning. This is Kenseth's third one. This is Kenseth's third win of the season. But to me, really, I would say out of his 3 wins, he won at Bristol back in April, and then won that few mileage race at Pocono a couple of weeks ago. To me, this was the first time that I think Matt Kenseth, in my opinion, showed that he had the fastest car and won the race. And to me, it was truly a dominating performance by Matt Kenseth. I think that it's safe to say that the one of the drivers you're going to have to watch out for when the chase starts is going to be Matt Kenseth. But anyway, here's the finishing results. First, Matt Kenseth. Second, Kevin Harvick. Third, Mark Truex Jr. Fourth, Austin Dillon. Fifth, Danny Hamlin. Sixth, Carl Edwards. Seventh, Logano. Eighth, Ryan Newman. Ninth, Brad Keselowski. 10th, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 11th, Kyle Busch. 12th, Paul Menard. 13th, Kyle Larson. 14th, Eric Almirola. 15th, Casey Kane. Sorry. 16th, Jamie McMurray. 17th, Jeff Gordon. 18th, David Reagan. 19th, Sam Morris Jr. 20th, Kurt Busch. 21st, Tony Stewart. 22nd, Terry Bane. 23rd, Greg Biffle. Ryan Blaney finished 24th. Danica Patrick, 25th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 27th. 26th, Cole Witt, 27th. AJ Allmendinger, 28th. Justin Allgaier, 29th. Matt DiBenedetto, 30th. 31st was Alex Bowman. 32nd, David Gilliland. 33rd, Jeb Burton. 34th, Brett Moffitt. 35th, Michael Annett. 36th, Len Castle. Josh Wise finished in the 37th position. 38th was JJ Lee. Him and Len Castle did some double duty between this race and yesterday's Xfinity race in Mid-Ohio. Jimmy Johnson, 39th. Travis Kvapil, 40th. 41st, Cliff Boyer. 42nd, Casey Mears. 43rd, Timmy Hill. Who surprised me? Who disappointed me? First of all, my disappointments. Overall, I was kind of, I was kind of expecting a better run out of Hendrick Motorsports overall. I mean, to me, there has been quite a bit of talk about how ever since Daytona they just haven't been at that great of a team. And once again, I feel like that was shown, but to me, it's not just like bad luck, I also think that they aren't showing the same speed as they once were, back in the spring. Not to me. When it comes to the case of a driver like Jimmy Johnson, we've seen this before with Jimmy Johnson a couple times over drivers like Jimmy Johnson struggle in the summer. But once the chase starts, Jimmy Johnson is back. And to me, it would not surprise me at all if the entire Hendrick organization, whether all of the drivers are in the chase or not, just start improving a lot better. And so overall, the entire organization, Johnson, Gordon Jr., and Kane, they kind of disappointed me. Who else disappointed me? Well, I was kind of I gotta look at this. I was kind of expecting a little bit more out of Kurt Busch, because the thing is, I know that this race had a different rules package compared to June, but to me, Kurt Busch, he was running up front, but to me, but to me, it wasn't like, it wasn't really like the performance back in June of where he was mostly top five throughout the day. And so overall, oh yeah, in Clipboard, in Clipboard finishing 41st, that is also kind of to me a disappointment. Who surprised me? I think I obviously talked about Austin Dillon, but also good finishes, but also a pretty good finish for drivers like Ryan Newman, and also Paul Menard. Newman finished 8th, Menard finished 12th, but I think Paul Menard actually had a good top 10 car, and I think that's definitely going to help them out in the chase grid. But for those drivers, are 13th and 14th on the chase grid, and overall, I guess that is Michigan, and that's all I really have to say. And overall, so anyway, the last thing I want to talk about, Bristol, the Irwin Tools Night Race at Bristol. Bristol, it definitely has changed a lot over the past several years, with a couple of overpays, and obviously the debate over the new Bristol versus the old Bristol. But to me, regardless of the cars, and regardless of the configuration, I always think there's something special, or just something memorable that happens every single time the Bristol race is under the lights. But to me, I also think that, just like in April, we're going to have to watch out for the weather, because to me, when I look at the forecast, we could have a lot of rain getting in the way, and to me, what would make me kind of laugh a little bit is if the Irwin Tools Night Race becomes the Irwin Tools Day Race, and it would also kind of be interesting, because the thing is, the April race was supposed to end under day, but it ended under night, and it would be kind of interesting to see if the scheduled night race eventually becomes the scheduled date race. It would be kind of interesting if those roles reversed. But other than the weather, who do I think is going to be good? Who do I think is going to be good? Well, to me, I think that we could very easily see, once again, another Joe Gibbs Racing versus Penske Racing. And to me, last season, and to me, a season ago, this was a race where both Brad Keselowski and Joe Logano really shined. And it was actually a pretty close finish between the two cars as Logano was able to hold off Keselowski and went on to win. But to me, if there were a couple more laps in that race, I think Keselowski, I think that it could have I think it could have actually been a I think that could have actually been a pretty close finish. Um, but other than Joe Gibbs versus Penske Racing, I also think that I also think that we also could see. I think that this might be the last best chance we see a new winner if we're going to have a new winner before the chase. And to me, if you look at some of the drivers with the best average finish, in 5 races at Bristol, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has a 9.2 average finish, 2 top 5s, three top 10s, and Kyle Larson in his first 3 races, a 9.67 average finish, 2 top 10s, 2 top 10s, but also in the race last April, he led a total of 90 laps. So to me, watch it. So to me, keep an eye out for those 2 drivers. And any possible surprises. To me, I think that if we are going to have any surprises, um, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for maybe, um, you know, like, I think that this is also a pretty good track for a Paul Menard. Yeah, in the past 5 races, an average finish of 11.2. Three top 10s. So I think Paul Menard. So I think that Paul Menard could be a surprise, and I think that Ryan Newman could also be a surprise. In the past 5 races, a 12.4 average finish, actually just behind Paul Menard. So to me, I think that those 2 drivers could be surprises, and who knows? Bristol races aren't exactly always very predictable. But anyway, this race review has gone on for a very long time. Um, hopefully in the future, one of my future plans now 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 uh, now that the SCRL the NR 2003 offline league is done, I'm actually thinking about starting, like a blog. And I think that once I start the blog, these race reviews won't be as long. But anyway, thank you all for watching this race review. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and bye.